There's little reflections off the water. Let's just turn this here, and we'll just aim that out the side. So we're picking up the back of the boat, and coincidentally, we're picking up other people's boats at the same time. Let's just lower this down a little bit so that we're not picking up too much of that. What if I put it on this side? Is that a good side? What do we see here? Yeah, so we see my boat, so that's good. I like that. Let's just straighten it out a little bit and go inside and see what we're doing there. Check the sound. And then I'm gonna come back out in a while. Okay, let's see what the live looks like. Let's look at it on the computer. And we've got it live there. And for those, let's just see if the sound is good. Yeah, the sound is good. Let's close that. And let's look at this. I'll check it on the phone as well. Okay, see how that phone works. And let's, okay, so that's nice. So we've got a nice, so we've got a nice live. I like that. Maybe we should improve the, got a nice live. I like that. Maybe we should improve the, and we've got a nice echo here, so let's close that off. Let's improve the Sailing Cook. Let's take that off. And this is called this Be a Beautiful Evening Live. Perfect. Thumbnail, let's change the thumbnail. And where's the thumbnail that we want to use? Basically that. Better looking, yeah, same thing as the better looking. That's perfect. So let's go back here. Channel content, nice. Let's go back one more. And one more. And one more, I guess I have to go back. Where is that? Okay, so that's that. Do I have it open twice? I do have it open twice. Let's, I don't know how many times we need to watch this. Beautiful Evening Live. Okay, so let's click on that. Good. This one, channel content. We don't really need that. And we've got a nice view out the back of the boat. We're not looking too much into anybody's backyard. Let's cancel that extra echo. And oh my God, I got visitors already. Wonderful. Hey, Marnus, I haven't seen you in a long time. Yeah, Nightbot doesn't like too many emojis, I think, and Nightbot doesn't like Caesar Mocha. Thank you for coming aboard. I really appreciate this. Let me put the type show link to drop link. One word. Type show link to drop link. One word. Send that. Let's pin that. Yeah, as I say, Nightbot. So you got away with 4 shaking hands. So I don't know when Nightbot gets upset about too many emojis, and he gets upset about, he or she maybe, gets upset about too many capital letters. But he's my favorite bot, so let's be nice to him. And type show link. Okay, so we're there. So we've got a good back view, and we're live on the boat. It's 6:15. We're starting a little bit earlier than usual because I want to get back a bit earlier than usual. Hey, Slick Rick, thanks for coming aboard. Pink KTV, oh my God, love to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I don't think I've seen your channel in a long time. So I'm a little bit behind in some of my visits, but I guess people that come by live sort of remind me, let's go check out your channel, because I do keep a list of my guests, and then make an effort to come back to your live or to your channel. So it's a way of reminding me, I guess, if nothing else. So the camera's out on the deck of the boat, and I'm sitting in the cockpit because it's very bright out there, and the sun's shining at a weird angle, so that we're getting a really bright sun in there. By 7, it should be the weather. The sun should be down a little bit, and because it's already, it's after June 21st. It's July 21st. It's a month since equinox, and I hate to think about it, but the days are getting shorter. So it's we'll come out and sit on the deck and join you face to face. Harm's Way, thanks for coming by. I have checked your channel. Have you done something new, or an update on those beautiful boats? Carl Schill, thank you for coming by. Appreciate that. I just saw you on somebody else's channel. Oh, can't you remember who? It's all a blur. Yeah, so we're having, Philippines, so it's midnight there, right? Like or it must be morning there. You're on the other side of the world from where we are. It's, Carl Schill is in England, so he's halfway around the world. The weather's been beautiful here. The cruise ship canal. Okay, I'm lost. Willie's, thank you for dropping by. I saw, I was watching yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I was on like for 2 hours, because I had wandered off and done something else, and I noticed a wind chime. You had a wind chime in the corner of the picture there. That was quite interesting. Cruise Ship Channel. Ah, okay, there we are. No, it wasn't Cruise Ship Channel. Dragon King Corso, thank you for coming by, and bring the dogs too. Bring the dogs. It was, I'll never remember. But yeah, we are out on the Cruise Ship channels from time to time. I'm following up some of the interesting activity happening on the cruise ships on TikTok at this point. And it's interesting what's happening out there. So this other phone is circling. I guess it was just because it's not picking up the Wi-Fi properly. I'd love to see everybody here. I did just a couple of things to housekeeping. I think last time I talked about a couple of music videos that I had worked on with my friend that had this. No, that's a different one. And I've added them to the links at the top of my channel. The Dave McAdam songs about Great Lake ships. His family owned tugboats, and he owns a tugboat. And so they're out on the water in the commercial marine industry in a big way. And we were out and looking at the dates. This is like 16 years ago, my God. We we're out on the ships recording his music video on the bridge of a freighter and on a tugboat and on a dock in Goderich. So it was really interesting working on some of those things with them. So they're there, and when we look at technology, those were recorded with a Canon XL1 digital video camera, which I believe I bought in 1991. So it's 36 years ago. Yeah, 36 years ago, 2025. So these are old videos, and but they still look good, and he still sounds good, and he's still running the tugboats, but he's also singing and playing guitar around the Great Lakes, Goderich and Lake Erie, and then down to Sarnia from time to time, I think so. So there's some interesting stuff there. So I decided to put those links in there. And the other thing I put a link in was to a thing called Canada Art Channel. So it's also in the bio. And I talked about my friend that had a stroke after we'd worked on video for 40 years. And the Canada Art Channel, the most recent videos are stuff that was sort of experimental by me, AI, voices, singing and reading the Bible, and singing the Lord's Prayer, and sleeping sounds and stuff like that, and 433 hertz kinds of sounds. None of which really took off, and I'd almost put them aside and forgotten about them. They should get cleaned up at some point. But so there's a link to Canada Art Channel, but it also has a link to 200 videos, which is interviews with artists and writers and publishers and singers and songwriters of all kinds that that go back. God, I don't know how many years. I'm going to just take a fast look because I haven't looked at this stuff in a while. When I started the Sail and Cook, or the Sail Whiskey Dream, I'd sort of put that aside because I've really lost contact with the Canadian artist community. CanadaArtChannel.com. CanadaArtChannel.com. Just out of curiosity, how old some of these videos are, because they're back to the beginning of YouTube. And I remember at the time, one of our biggest questions was, do we use YouTube or do we use Vimeo? Microsoft had a channel at the time, and which one is better from a point of view of an audience and from a point of view of video qualities. Now, video quality, this is the beginnings of this stuff is standard definition television, 640 by 480, and so 10 years ago. And if we're looking at it on an HD screen, then it gets extended quite a bit, and it doesn't look that good. So, yeah, Arno Maggs, photographer. I remember interviewing him, and he's a famous in our circles here photographer, and I remember being worried about getting him out of focus. And then I looked at some of the shots afterwards, and they were pretty crappy. So here we are. Okay, so some of these are. This doesn't go back all the way because this goes back 17 years. But there are other videos that I think many of them ended up on the McMichael Art Gallery website, so I guess I should post them as well. because I do have the rights to them. Um, 'Cause I remember the first video that we worked on together. This is with my friend that had the stroke, Steve. Was a Chinese artist. I think he was in Canada on an exchange program, or he was a refugee, because he did speak against the regime at the time. And so he had some of his art. I remember fish, and the fish represented people trying to swim upstream from an ideology that they had. We've got Canadian painters, art gallerists, Inuit art, Stephen Leacock letters, Mary Pratt. I remember interviewing Mary Pratt in a hotel room in Toronto. And one of the interesting things that she did was this picture of fish. And I've tried to recreate that concept, not exactly the exact image, but a picture of her in her fish, which is basically fish in wrapping paper. And I'm quite happy with my fish in wrapping paper. Here we have Karsh Industrial Portraits. So Karsh is most famous recently because somebody stole a picture of his photo of Churchill from the National Gallery in Ottawa. But he did a series of industrial photos as well, and some of them are people working on the Ford assembly line in Oakville. So if this video was done 16 years ago, his art, I think, is 40 years ago. First Nations art from the West Coast. Georgian Bay landscapes. That was an interesting, one of the best videos in this series is Gail Garnett, the singer of We Sang in the Sunshine, and she wrote a book. So I interviewed her at a book fair in Toronto. We've got somebody talking about totem poles. We've got various art galleries. Gordon Monahan. So he did this exhibition in a factory that I later took pictures of the factory as well. But his exhibition was a piano that played by itself, and it played at random notes. It wasn't a player piano. It was just random notes based on the tension of a bunch of wires. He did that. Thomas Holonia, he was famous for 8x10 photography. Ross King, British author. Some of these people, I don't remember who they were. There was an interesting Marilyn Monroe exhibition, and we recorded Marilyn Monroe lookalikes that was quite fascinating. And I mean, I grew up in the Marilyn Monroe era, but I never really spent a lot of time thinking about her. And we ended up with a pretty nice video based on a art gallery exhibition. And let's go look at the chat and see where we're up to here. Super Nugget, hey, welcome to my boat. So interesting. If you're interested in Canadian art, drop by there. Some of these people, I can't remember who they were. Some of them, there were interesting exercises in editing as well. People have asked what I use for editing, and now I've done some lives of editing with Adobe Premiere, and some of these are done with the very first versions of Adobe Premiere, and trying things, and then things that didn't work. Fred Herzog, Canadian photographer. Who else do we have in here? Yeah, Arno Maggs. More people, artists. Did an interesting fashion show at the McMichael Gallery. It was interesting trying to shoot fashion. I never recorded fashion, never photographed fashion, trying to get that to work. Junior Caribbean Carnival. So these are old pictures, shots from Caribana, and some of the lead up to Caribana. Tim Cook, author of many books about the war, the Canadian War. Who else is in here? Megan Rennie Photography. No idea. I can't remember who she was. A sculptor. Here's a sculptor. Dan Hill. Dan Hill, a singer. Got him not talking about singing, but talking about prostate cancer. So it was kind of interesting. You know, you look at him as an artist, as a singer, and he's talking about more human things. Adam McGoyan at the Toronto Canadian Opera Company. Who else do we got here? Colin Mockery, our comedian. So some interesting stuff if you're interested in some elements of the Canadian art scene. But it's basically dormant because I'm not doing any more of that. So let's put that aside. And check out the Dave McAdam songs as well. They're pretty cool. Marissa, what's for cooking? Well, I was planning to cook today. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it live or just record it. And a couple weeks ago, a creator called Jake. Can't remember where he's from. It's a state. And he we'll get some circling on the computer here. Okay, we're okay. He Joji, thank you for coming by. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you, or nice to see your support channel. We're having a wonderful day. Sunset's a bit earlier now. I think sunset's around 8:30. So it's getting, the days are getting shorter, but it still works. So what's for cooking? Well, Arizona Jake and I got into a long chat conversation about cheeseburgers. And I'm on a boat. And Jimmy Buffett was a wonderful singer about boat life and surf life and sort of California, Caribbean, Cuban life of various kinds. And he, one of his songs was, sorry, pardon for me, entitled Cheeseburgers in Paradise. He was just singing about cheeseburgers. And I remember I saw him at one show here in Toronto, and I was amazed that guests at the show, hey, Chef Jimmy, thank you for coming aboard, were wearing these hats that were cheeseburgers. And I have some photos of that. That was kind of interesting at the time. It was, in fact, I think that was the time that we took a sailboat over to the Jimmy Buffett concert. Now, when I say took a sailboat, it was a 10-minute sail from one end of a little cove to another end, and we didn't sail. We motored over because it was only 10 minutes. But it was, in my mind, it was such an appropriate, wonderful way to get to a Jimmy Buffett concert, to go there on a sailboat. And yeah, so he did a bunch of weird things. He's passed away. Being in the sun finally got to him. So sad, but appropriate as well. Hey, Raymond CS, welcome aboard. Yeah, it's good. It's hard to get the whole boat into the camera because the angles never work, And but the and I don't really want to look into other people's boats and invade their privacy too much either. So it's really the boating environment that we're here. Anyway, so back to Jimmy Buffett. So Jimmy Buffett, his guests, I wasn't cool enough. Everybody's got Hawaiian shirts on, so I wore a Hawaiian shirt that I actually got in Hawaii many years ago. And but people would wear shark fins because he does songs about sharks and shark fins. And I'm sorry, I was just zoned out for a second here. So if shark fins, people when he did the shark fin song, people would jiggle their shark fins. So he did the super cheeseburgers in paradise, and people came wearing hats that were representative of cheeseburgers, and some of them were really well done. So Arizona Jake and I got into this discussion of cheeseburgers because he was going to have a cheeseburger for lunch. And I had just bought a grill for this boat that's already been featured in a couple of videos. So I figured, okay, cheeseburgers on a boat. I can't really use Jimmy Buffett music because of the copyright issues, but I can sort of allude to his musical style. And so today was going to be cheeseburger day. And I was going to do 3 cheeseburgers, one with mango. So this would be not unusual cheeseburgers. One was going to be a cheeseburger with mango slices and maybe some onion and peppers, bell pepper slivers, sort of like a Thai salad cheeseburger with a little bit of soy sauce on it. And one was going to be a portobello mushroom piece on top of the burger and the cheese, and one was going to be a California ode to California with avocado slivers and bacon and I stopped at the grocery store on the way and picked up the portobello mushrooms and some other ingredients, some lettuce. And I get to the boat and I say, where is the meat for the burger? So I have no burgers. So the burgers will be tomorrow. And it'll be a better production because I also have no bacon. So I figured I could get away without bacon because bacon is a bit optional. I mean, I love bacon on a burger, but the beef patty is 100% necessary to do a cheeseburger video. So there's no cheeseburgers today. All we had is a watermelon salad, which was pretty good. Hey, Simple Things with Tammy, thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming aboard. Nice to see you. Oh no, that's not what I meant to do. Just clicked on the wrong thing there. Foodies. Yeah. Love your talk on your channels. My God, you talk more than me. It's a constant patter, and it's so nice to listen to. I was just on watching another live, And I love her. I love her her channel and her style. Little Red, Big Smile, and but nobody talks, which is a different and interesting way to set up a live and let people connect with each other. So everybody does things slightly different. Jody just came by. I love her when she's doing her dancing. It's a unique style, and it's upbeat and wonderful dancing steps. So there's always some good things out there. Hey Suzanne, thank you for coming by. So anyway, because there is no meat for my cheeseburger, there are no cheeseburgers, and I'm not 100% sure what I was going to have for supper. Maybe just beans later on. Beans is easy. Sailing canoe, yeah, that's yeah. I've canoed 3 times in my life probably. Always with somebody else's somebody else's party, and the exercise is good. I actually learned pretty well how to paddle with 2 people in a canoe, because each person has to swing the paddle in such a way that the canoe goes straight instead of going off to one side or the other. The Yeah, it was interesting. Just talking about paddling. So I was down on the beach earlier today. We have this is Q Beach in Toronto, and so it's a pretty big beach. That a lot of kids because school's out, and there's 2 paddle boards out in the water, stand-up paddle boards, and I'm watching, saying, "Okay, that's interesting. It's a nice day." And then suddenly I hear the lifeguards, because we have a lot of lifeguards. Um, Lifeguards, their little horns going off, and they're all running and jump in the water. And man, can they swim with the little red rescue thingies. And so they're rushing out, because I think there was a kid that fell off of a hey Buifo, thank you for coming by. Appreciate the visit. Welcome aboard. And because I've never seen a lifeguard here rescue anybody. I mean, I've seen the lifeguards yell at people when there's a thunderstorm coming up and they want to get everybody off the beach so nobody gets hit by lightning. And we have sort of rock break walls that protect the sand a little bit from the current of the lake. This is Lake Ontario. And some of them are just at water level, and they're covered in seagull poop because the seagulls love them. And but the rocks are pretty dangerous because they're sharp, and because they're wet and slimy, that it's probably very easy to fall and either get injured by the rocks or fall in the water and unexpectedly. So I hear the lifeguards screaming at the people, "Get off the rocks! Get off the rocks!" But never seen them actually rescue anybody. And so they, man, were they fast swimmers. I would guess it's 100 feet, 200 feet from the shore to where the paddle boards were, seemed to have gotten into trouble. So it's nice to know that that they're watching. You look at lifeguards, especially on a beach, where they're by themselves in their little tower. We have very minimalist towers compared to like California lifeguard stands are works of architecture. Miami Beach lifeguard stands sort of the same as California, but ours are very minimalist. They're welded pipes with a set of stairs and a place to sit and a place for them to have an umbrella to keep the sun off. And So they're pretty well by themselves. So I can visualize sitting there for 8 hours if it's an 8-hour shift, and either falling asleep or nodding off. Um, that yet they still have to be alert when things go wrong. So obviously they're doing their job. So it was gratifying to see that that they were ready to go. Now, to me, from the shore, because I was a bit further away from the edge of the water, it looked like the kid that fell off of the one paddleboard had climbed onto the other one, because there was two of them there, and then the one paddleboard was drifting away because we had a bit of a wind, and the paddleboard was drifting away. But I'm sure somebody caught it eventually, or would have run into another one of these rock outcroppings that they've got there. So that was really kind of interesting to watch. Watch the lifeguards in action there. The other thing that we find a bit of amusement and entertainment in, and it's probably not totally morally appropriate, the Schadenfreude kind of thing, is on the marine radio. Marine radio has a lot of channels. And there's a channel, a Mayday channel, emergency channel, channel 9 on the VHF in North America. And so if we're out sailing, we'll bring up the radio and listen to channel 9 to hear about, to hear people getting in trouble. So you hear some interesting things. People run out of gas. People run aground. I guess those are the only two things that we've heard. People running out of gas and people running aground because they weren't watching where they're going, or they weren't reading their charts, or mainly they weren't watching where they're going. I mean, I know there was one I was listening to. We have an airport here down by the waterfront, and there are exclusion zones where the planes are flying so low that they would catch on a sailboat mast. So there are boys that say keep out on them. And I remember one year listening to somebody's Mayday that he'd run aground, but he'd run aground inside the exclusion zone at the end of this airport. So he shouldn't be there. But again, it's still potentially serious, and one shouldn't treat it as entertainment, but we do. And so where we are, the Canadian Coast Guard, because basically we hear the Canadian Coast Guard more than the American. The American's probably too far away. I'm not even sure where the biggest Coast Guard station is up here. But the Canadian main control Coast Guard station is in Prescott, which is way east of here at the end of Lake Ontario, where it turns into the St. Lawrence River. And so you listen to the Prescott Coast Guard radio, and we hear about things going wrong as far as Niagara Falls. We don't hear about it very much on Lake Erie, because I think there's another Coast Guard station there that would respond to Mayday calls in that area. So it's kind of immoral to listen in and chuckle. It's something to do, and I guess to some extent it's always a learning experience, because the objective is to not do the things that people do that gets them in trouble. Yeah, Niagara Falls, the Canadian side. From the Canadian side, we get a better view of the American Falls than the Americans get. So they built that tower out there that you can sort of look backwards, but we see the whole thing, and then we see the Canadian Falls. So you get a much better view from here. I've never been to the Niagara Falls American side. Never been in the falls. I've driven through the town on the way to other places because there's a bridge there. But I've never actually been at the American Falls. It would be kind of interesting to go down to the to go to that observation tower because it gets right close to the water, and they have. I think it's called Goat Island. It's a big island on the American side that has walkways that are surrounded by the Niagara River on each side, going by. So there's some pretty scenery on that side. We see it only from this side, and it's interesting. I anticipate we're going to be out there in the next week or two for a just for a trip. It's an hour and a half drive from Toronto, and there's I guess it's become a habit to stay at the Sheraton Fallsview. Sheraton Fallsview. There's two Sheratons. Is it a Sheraton? I'm pretty sure it's a Sheraton. And I guess we could look it up. But it's it has a great view of the falls because it's one of the closest hotels and to the water's edge, like on the Canadian side, and so there's nothing in between it. And the first time I stayed there, the falls is very loud. So if you're on the down by the water, it's a roar. But what I was really surprised was that when you opened the window, and these windows didn't open very far, the amount of roar that came in through even a tiny opening was huge. Now, when they built them with decent windows, and so the noise doesn't get in. I'll look it up. I think it's the Sheraton Fallsview. There's two Sheratons, and I always know when you drive in, Sheraton Fallsview Hotel. Yeah. So that's the one. Yeah, because when you drive into the reception area, the valet area, the guy always says, "Are you sure this is the right hotel?" Because the other one is just across the street, but it doesn't have as good a view. Now, it's $100 a month, a night less as well. So there's all kinds of trade-offs. And what annoys me is, because I always want to take pictures and video out the window, but what annoys me is when the windows aren't clean. So you're paying a fortune for this freaking hotel, and there's mist or dew or just dirt on the windows because they haven't washed them in a while. And so that's annoying, but that's only happened once or twice. We had somebody on this live 2 weeks ago, last week. She runs a channel called WeGo Tours, WEGO Tours, and a lot of her stuff is focused on walking tours of Niagara Falls and Niagara on the Lake and like that whole area in there. So she does beautiful walking tours and a very good explanation. I assume she lives there. WeGo is the name of their bus line, so there could even be some relationship or commercial relationship. I've never asked, but you end up with interesting walking tours. And there's it reminds me, so a while ago we were talking about the Marilyn Monroe exhibitions and the Marilyn Monroe lookalike at the McMichael Art Gallery in Toronto. And so she did one movie whose name escapes me, but it was shot in Canada. I can't remember the name of it. So that's why let's zoom over to Google and find out what Marilyn Monroe Canada movie. It Mounties in it. And Marilyn See, I like being at a computer because I can do more. I hate being on the phone. So the phone is out in the boat, recording. Canada movie, Niagara Falls. Maybe she did too. Niagara Falls. Doesn't say. I don't want to spend the rest of my night reading this. I guess she did two movies, one in Calgary and one in Niagara Falls. So that was recorded partly there's a bell tower, a carillon that used to ring on a regular basis. Doesn't ring anymore. I guess they don't want to create the noise. But so it was kind of interesting going down there and seeing where, following the Marilyn Monroe, Niagara Falls efforts. So it's kind of neat. It is a neat place. It's I mean, sometimes it gets super crowded. We found there's a new tunnel that leads out from the old hydroelectric plant out to the falls at the lower water level. There's a tunnel behind the falls that I went to as a kid on a school trip zillions of years ago. And all I remember was getting soaking wet. The Maid in the Mist is interesting, but again, if you're looking from a photography point of view, everything gets soaking wet. So, but the tunnel from the power plant is a long walk, but where it leads out, it's a bit away from the mist, because it's a bit behind the water curtain, and you end up with some decent photography opportunities, decent shots of the Maid in the Mist. So it's always enjoyed it. It's worth the drive. I mean, the food, these are all chain hotels, the Sheraton, the Hilton, the Ramada, Howard Johnson. So it's all there. The food on Clifton Hill is all tacky, either chain fast food or local fast food. So everything coated in grease. But yeah, it's a good place to visit if you're up in this part of the world, whether you're on the American side or Canadian side. It's a good trip. It's a good trip. Never been disappointed. As a kid, I remember we'd go in the winter more than the summer, and everything's covered in ice. I had this nightmare of standing on this railing next to the fence, next to the falls, and it'll be covered in ice, and this nightmare they just slide off and fall in the water. You're not supposed to stand on the railing, and there are signs everywhere that say, "Okay, Simple Things, Tammy. We'll see you in a while. I'll come and check out." You're not supposed to stand on the railing. There's big signs that say, "Don't stand on the railing." But people are looking for a photo opportunity, and I thought some kid did fall off this winter because his parents wanted a photo. So it's a awe-inspiring place, but it has the opportunity to be dangerous as well. I mean, just like everything else. I mean, boats sink. People fall into the water. It's strange things can happen to people. So back to the burgers. No meat. How can you have a burger without meat? And it does give me an opportunity to pick up more bacon, because I didn't have enough bacon after all. And I don't think bacon is necessary on a cheeseburger, but it certainly makes it more interesting looking because of the color and the texture. And in my opinion, makes it more interesting tasting as well. So we'll do the bacon with the mangoes and the portobello mushroom and the avocado. And then I had this vision, but this is probably too many things. What if you did a slice of pineapple? I mean, ideally, from a photography point of view, you would get a whole pineapple and cut a slice out of it, and cut out the core, and because the slice is round, and a smaller pineapple is about the same size as a hamburger bun, so that would end up looking quite pretty, both in the making and in the tasting. So, but then now we're up to 4 different burgers, and the grill isn't big enough for that. So maybe that'll be Cheeseburger in Paradise Part 1, Cheeseburger in Paradise Part 2. And originally I was going to do everything with processed cheddar cheese, the yellow stuff that you get in the package, or orange stuff. And then I found a couple of slices of Havarti in the fridge. So the taste of Havarti is not as aggressive as processed cheddar, and the look is different because it's white instead of orange. So maybe we'll do some of that as well, and that'll be tomorrow's cooking episode, and then in the evening tomorrow's editing episode. So it'll be live on Thursday at the rate that I'm going. Let me just check something here. Let's just check this bilge pump over here. Dry as a bone. Not dry as a bone, but dry as it should be. Because there's always like an inch of water in the bottom because the pump doesn't reach all the way down. And this is why in the bilge pump video I said I didn't want to take out the screws from the old pump's mounting, because I didn't want water to get into the screw holes and possibly leak into the fiberglass, and it wouldn't cause damage immediately, but it would cause damage over time. So it's just something to watch out for. But at this point, the bilge pump seems to be happy. Let me just check the water level here, and then let me go outside for a while and see what it looks like outside. Maybe move the camera to pick up a slightly different angle. The sun is creating a beautiful, there seems to be water here, so that's good. A beautiful angle of light against the boat. So I don't know what this. This water is supposed to be running here. I've got to flush the water tank again, because after a while it gets a little punky smelling, and I put a bit of chlorine in it to kill that. But in the end, in the long run, we're better off just replacing the water in the tank. Only use it for washing up. Don't drink it. But it's and then let's just go back to the bilge pump. So the thing that's prompted the bilge pump episode was the pump itself died. But the reason I noticed that it had died was that the bilge was full of water after a rainstorm. I was down on one day. It was dry, no big deal. The pump was unhappy, but I figured no big deal. We'll just let it sit for a while. It'll take care of itself. Come down the next day, and the bilge is sort of an area under the floorboards, is full of water. And it's designed that way because it's a boat, and the water does get around into things. And my question was, where did all this water come from? And obviously somewhere there's a leak. Yeah, I'm going to come outside. I'm going to take the computer so that I can watch the chat. I need to figure out how to do this. Let's unplug the computer. How much battery life do we have? It says it's full. It probably lies a little bit, but we'll take it out. And see what it looks like outside. I hear birds. I keep saying that one day we're going to have swans come by, but I still haven't seen a swan come by while we've been live. So maybe the swans know what they're in for and don't want any part of this. Let's get a sip of water to drink. And see what it looks like outside. Yeah, so that sun is getting below the horizon a little bit. I'm going to not face the camera for a few minutes because the sun will be right in my eyes or right in the camera. Let's see, what excitement are we having outside here? There's a boat for sale. Don't need another boat. I see birds flying around, but they're not terribly exciting birds. And there's a beautiful breeze. Should go sailing. Maybe I'll do that later this week. A couple of things planned, but we'll see how the rest of the week works out. I told some people I hurt my foot and I'm reluctant to jump onto the dock. So I've got to, the wind has to be just right so that we don't have a jumping onto the dock situation. But outside of that, it's time to go for a sail. Oh, swallows are flying by. And again, I talked about taking pictures of swallows. Oh, I have the other camera. And I never bring the right camera that's got a fast enough shutter, because these things are really, really fast. But they're such a pretty shape because they have the sort of V-shaped tail, and their wings are sort of swept back. Oh, I see a duck out there. So they have a very interesting shape. So I'm going to move the camera. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Bear with me, because the camera has a power dongle as well. And I'm going to change the angle. Oops, we don't want to do that. So let's rotate it around. So now we're sort of looking at the same angle, but slightly different. And it will give us. Let's unplug the power dongle. I think the phone's going to run long enough without it. So it will the new sort of a view where if we swans coming by, we're going to see them online. Do I want to turn this a little bit? Let's just turn it a little bit. There, not so much that the camera falls into this hole. Oh, there's a, no, that's a good enough angle there. So that will look, that's looking down the fairway towards Leslie Smith Park. Hey, Susanna, thank you for dropping by. Wonderful to have you here. I haven't been to your channel in 2 whole days. I'm going to have to make up for that. That's not true. I think I was there yesterday. It always very relaxing. Susanna Morzon. It's a very relaxing, laid back kind of vibe. Interesting chat sometimes as well. Always always a pleasure. The so let's see if we get some decent birds here. I see the swallows are I mean, they sit on the lifelines of the boat and then they crap all over. You have to clean that up. But normally they're never still. They're out chasing bugs on a regular basis. So when they get close by, hey Letty, thank you for coming by. I appreciate that. Haven't seen you in a long time. Although I think I was on your live earlier today. For just a couple of minutes, I was looking for something, and up pops Letty M. So it's always a pleasure to come by. So we got an airplane flying overhead, so the thing's going to get noisy for a few minutes. I don't think we ever see the airplanes in the camera because they're too high, and by the time they're over the horizon, they're so small that you don't see anything. These are twin-engine propeller commuter airplanes. This one is Porter Airlines, just went overhead. Distinctive color on the bottom. Oh, we got a seagull flying overhead. So we don't have a lot of seagulls because somebody else brought this up. I many years ago chartered a boat in the British Virgin Islands, and it had a barbecue on the back, and the provisions that were provided by the charter company were a different meal for each day. So one day, chicken and beef and whatever. And one day it was fish. It was a sort of white fish fillets, just generic fish. And now it wasn't a gas barbecue, it was charcoal. So you got 5 days worth of food and you got 5 charcoal flats, so sort of like it was a round barbecue, and this was a piece of charcoal that was compressed into the right size to fit the bottom of the barbecue. And hey Eddie Benu, thank you for coming by. Welcome aboard. Ahoy. Yeah, so the one day the provisions were mystery fish. Now, it was in the Caribbean, it was in the British Virgin Islands, so I don't think it was kingfish, because kingfish is, the shape is very distinct, and it seems to, I've never ever seen kingfish that hasn't been like a steak, like a slice through the middle of it. They do a lot of mackerel there, so it could have been a piece of mackerel, or it was mystery fish. Anyway, so the fish is on the barbecue, and the had to cover off because why not? That way you could see what was happening. And suddenly the seagull swoops down and steals this big piece of fish. So the fish was about the size of my hand, and the seagull just grabbed it in both sets of talons, and dinner was gone. It was the seagulls had stolen it. So so that was the end of that. Now, what my plan is I want to recreate that here. I want to the barbecue I have has a cover. So the barbecue that we had in the Virgin Islands had no cover. So it made it easy for the seagulls to see that there was something interesting. And we probably weren't the first time that they'd stolen some fish off somebody's barbecue. But also they could swoop in and get the fish and be gone. With the cover, it's harder for the bird to see that there's something of interest there. And of course, the bird can't easily swoop down and grab it. And so I'm going to try to take the cover off if it comes off, and try to stage this thing to get video of a seagull stealing my supper. And we'll have a couple of cameras aimed at the barbecue, and just wait. And if the first piece of fish gets done and doesn't get eaten, if it's stolen by a bird, then have another piece of fish. And I'm not sure how you would make the fish smell more, because I don't think the birds care about what spices you put on it. But it's just this concept I have that I'm going to recreate the attack of the seagulls, or the seagulls stole my fish. Maybe that's the right title. And I did write an article about this many years ago for something called GAM magazine. The magazine no longer exists. It was a boating magazine, nautical magazine in this area, and it mainly talked about sailing, I guess, more than motorboating in the Great Lakes. It was kind of interesting that relive that adventure and feed a seagull. Now, from a video point of view, the barbecue doesn't have to be on, and maybe that will make it more attractive to to a seagull, because it won't be hot. Now, I don't know if they can tell from a distance whether something's hot or not. I mean, I've seen seagulls catch fish in the water. I've seen seagulls attack dead fish on shore and tear them up and fight over the rotting remains. We got a cormorant. So was the cormorant visible? It might be visible. Let's see if he's flying off. He's flying off. He's flying off. I don't know if we got him or not. I think there's too much boat stuff in the way. But we don't see many of them flying here. I mean, you see them flying overhead in huge flocks. When we see them here, they're in the water, and they we're getting some circling here. Hopefully we don't lose it live. I think we did lose it a couple of weeks ago. It came back. But sometimes I lose the audience then, because what you see is the black screen. So we see the cormorants here, and you'll see them floating around, and all you really see is a head and a neck. Most of the body is submerged, and suddenly the head and neck disappear, and they come up 10, 15, 20 feet further away, and one assumes that they've caught something and swallowed it in the water. So let's see how much circling we're getting here. 7:30. Oh, pardon me. That was a yawn. See, as we get into the summer, we're going to have more people spending evenings on the boat and working and watching stuff. So I may end up losing a little bit of internet power. If we turn the thing around a little bit, I can't see on the phone whether it's circling, because all you see is the all you see is the picture. So yeah, so it's a beautiful. I smell somebody's barbecue. I wish I had those hamburger patties. I could have my cheeseburgers in paradise, but I'll do that tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to do it live. It's too much trying to organize the activities, and maybe we'll do it live. So if I need the phone to record the video and a video camera to record the video, and maybe we'll turn the other phone on live and it'll record it live. Now I discovered something with the because I edited the live where I fixed the bilge pump, and I discovered that YouTube says that it's been saved in HD, but it's only 720 by 1280, so that's 10-year-old HD, and there's some fuzziness when the camera can't keep up with the video, so it looks like really bad 1990s internet JPEGs in some cases. Some of it is surprisingly clear. I wanted to see. I posted it only partly to share it, but I also wanted to see something about how I installed that pump, and some of it was surprisingly clear in terms of being able to read the read some of the stuff on the pump itself. So I was pleasantly surprised that that worked. But what that really, just this long rant was, you can't really record the live and use it as video footage. The quality just isn't adequate for anything. So it's got to be recorded separately. But I have a second phone that says poor video quality from a recording point of view, but it might be adequate from a YouTube point of view. So maybe we'll do it live anyway. I'm rambling. I'm trying to figure out whether the live has stopped for any reason. No, on the phone it says it's still going live. So that hasn't. I guess it was just a transient. It was just a transient blip in the time-space continuum. Hey, GPS photo. Thanks for coming by. The 33 minutes. Not sure what I'm going to do next, though, in terms of cooking. The last creamy shrimp recipe was well received. I'm still looking for 1 million views. It's got to happen to get monetized properly, I guess. But I don't know what my next cooking adventure will be. Maybe something shrimp again, because I did enjoy the last one. Actually, had it for 2 days of meals. It was so good. The I've come across some suggestions for creamy beef, and maybe that's what we'll focus to get a bit away from the shrimp and seafood kinds of recipes, and move over to beef, a steak, cut up steak. I did a Chinese steak, Mongolian or Manchurian. Sometimes I confuse the two. And it tasted really good. Didn't get that many views, but I was happy enough with that. So Chinese style beef would probably be interesting. I photographed a lot of Filipino food, and I guess I've got some people from the Philippines watching. When I did the photography for Uber, I would end up with the leftovers in some cases, and there were some very interesting pork belly based meals that I thought were interesting, and the recipes were interesting. And I was in a meat market, and I saw big chunks of pork belly. Not big chunks, small chunks, because I don't need more than enough for a two-person recipe. So maybe something pork belly. Oh, I hear seagulls. Are they stealing somebody's barbecue? What are those seagulls doing? They're flying around somebody's boat. There's one, there's two. Are they after a barbecue? I don't even need to do my own barbecue to have the seagulls the attack of the seagulls. But generally, we don't get that many seagulls here, so I'm surprised every time I see a bunch of them. They don't get seagull poop, so that's the other thing. Seagulls, they do big poop jobs. The swallows at least. So maybe it's a good thing that we don't have too many seagulls, and don't want to attract them too much. Because if they think there's food to be stolen once, they're going to come back and try to steal it a second time. And once you can't get rid of them once they found you, because they're going to assume there's going to be more and more opportunities for them to have a good meal at somebody else's expense. You're in another plane flying over, so it's going to be noisy for a few minutes. Oh, yawning again. Why am I yawning? You should have a snooze and do let the chat be silent for a while. Whose plane is that? That's another Porter plane. So we get Porter and Air Canada. That's only people that fly into this airport, and they're all local flights. And Montreal, New York, maybe maybe as far as Manitoba to the west. Um, I think they're into Virginia. I've heard people flying to Virginia. Um, it's it's a regional airline, regional airport. So let's see if the sun has come around enough that I can swap over to the other side and not be blinded by the light. Who did Blinded by the Light? That wasn't Ozzy Osbourne, was it? Poor Ozzy, he's gone. When you read about his lifestyle, you say, how did he last this long? But he did some good music. Did some good music. I have to get this bimini repaired. So this is not a critical thing, but the bimini provides shade over the back of the cockpit, and the top of the picture is some of the railings that it's connected to. And in the winter, a piece blew away, and I tried. There's a canvas place here. So I wanted to keep it local, and I went and talked to the guy that runs that canvas place. But the marina has 300 boats. Half of them are sailboats, but even motorboats have canvas covers and enclosures, stuff like that. So he's super busy, and after 3 weeks, he didn't have the time to come over and measure this thing. So I gave up on him, and now we'll go back to the people that made this for me 5, 6, 7 years ago that are still in business in Mississauga. So the downside is it's a 2-hour drive. The upside, there's a lighthouse there that I wanted to take photographs of. So I've just got to think of what time of the day the light will be good. I would think before lunch is probably going to be better than after lunch, because then the sun will be behind the lighthouse, and we lose some of the details. So there's an interesting lighthouse there that deserves this photo op. Yeah, R.I.P. Ozzy. It's musicians come and go. I guess we hear about them. Again, we'll go back to Jimmy Buffett. I mean, he died of skin cancer that was caused by exposure to the sun. But his whole life was sailing and surfing and the beach life. And he sang about that as well. But he from what I read, he lived that life also. So there is a lot of being out in the sun. It has the danger of skin cancer. I guess suntan lotion and some of those things will protect you against that. But it's trite to say he died doing what he loved, but that's part of that. I don't know what got Ozzy. I just saw it in the news earlier today, so I'm sure we'll find out, and then we'll judge him 8 ways to Sunday. But from everything you read, it looks like he had a good time, and made some good music. So it's a thing. But yeah, I got to get this bimini repaired. So the trip to Mississauga, head out to Port Credit Marina. There's a boat store there that has some useful items and equipment that nobody else has. So they're worth a visit. Holland Marine Products. But interestingly, the guys closed Saturdays afternoon after lunch. And And you'd think that Saturdays after lunch is going to be his biggest business opportunity, because that's when people have time to go shopping for boat parts. But he's eccentric, and but he has some good stuff. Because of Amazon, like both stores are hurting a bit in this area. You don't have to go to a store to buy stuff, and Amazon has an unlimited number of items of all sizes and all shapes. Whereas a store, of course, the stock they have is limited by the investment that they want to make in the room that they have. So Amazon is a good thing, and Amazon is also a bad thing. So I decided I'm going to take advantage of my audience and become an Amazon affiliate, and link to some of the things that I use in my various videos and in my sail boat life. So there's a link to the bilge pump already that that I used in the last episode. And interestingly, I think I got a better deal at a bricks and mortar store than I did in than I would have through Amazon. And with the whole tariff situation between Canada and the US, I think I bought inventory from the store that had been there before they had tariffs. So that's probably a saving there as well. So you never know where you're going to come out ahead by you order online, you go to a store. I like the idea of buying at the store, because if you don't buy at the store, then the store will disappear, and that opportunity won't even be there anymore. Amazon and the online environment is interesting. I move my foot, the phone jiggles. Maybe I'm finding where the water is getting into the bilge from the outside. So here in the deck, there's like 3 big openings where the rainwater is supposed to flow out the back of the boat. But if and I don't see water anywhere in the boat, so wherever it's going, there could be channels that are designed to direct the rainwater away, and somewhere there's an opening that is directing them into the bilge and causing it to fill up after a storm. Now, the last rain, a couple of times I wanted to come down for the rain, and then the rain never actually happened. So we never. That's an interesting pontoon boat just going by. Never had the opportunity to actually sit and watch the rain coming down and trace it and see, oh, there's where my flow of water is. So I'll do it with a hose. Start at the low parts. Somebody suggested, might have been Harm's Way, suggested that it could be in the anchor locker at the front. It has a drain, and it's open to the elements, but it has a drain that is open, because when I wash up there or fill the water tank, it overflows into that anchor locker area, and that I mean, the water could still be getting into the bilge as well. It's because it is connected feasibly if you work your way from the bow to the midships. But yeah, start that, fill that with water, and see if I can see anything there. I'm still thinking of bringing food coloring down and putting a few drops of food coloring. I don't want to stain the boat, so I got to come up with a food coloring that doesn't stain on fiberglass. Hey, Little Red, big smile. Thank you for coming aboard. Nice to see you again. Only saw you on your own live a couple hours ago. The Little Red's wonderful channel, wonderful chat. Sometimes not much talking. Some music. She does some of her own music, as far as I can tell, in the background. But definitely worth investigating and subscribing, and listening to what she's doing. So it's and that photo, her cover photo with the red hairs, it amazing color, amazing color. Love that color. Never told her that on her own channel, so we're telling her now. Yeah, so we got to check where this water is coming from. It's not supposed to leak, and see, in the winter, the pump still works because it's got battery power, and I leave the battery connected all winter. But in the winter, the pump will freeze, and then it won't pump. So if we get water running in the winter, that's where we're going to run into actual damage to the floorboards and potentially other things. So it's got to get fixed. We'll track it down. It's a matter of coming down, waiting for the rain, or coming down with a hose and finding where the water's coming through. As I was saying, so the issue with food color was, my first thought was that. So if you take like a red food color, then that red would show up in wherever the water is running. But I also don't. Oh, I got a duck right behind the back of the boat, eating the weeds, but we don't see it on the camera. I don't really want to leave red dye marks in various places, especially if they're visible afterwards. So, gotta maybe rethink how I'm going to do that. But that's maybe that's a this weekend kind of thing. Maybe it's even a live thing. Put the camera up on top of the Dodger, aim it at me. I mean, most of it needs my backside aimed at the camera, but interesting, I guess, sharing the on the boat maintenance activity, like almost like the repairing of the bilge pump. So we'll see what the weather's like on the weekend. I think it's supposed to rain on Friday, so maybe coming down Friday and watching actual rain. But the problem with actual rain is the rain falls equally on the front and the back and the middle of the boat. So it doesn't really tell me, unless I actually see a whole trail of water. Like I think I mentioned at one point, so there's doorads at the front, doorads of these vents on boats that are sort of like a round, a curved elbow kind of thing that lets air in. And they're designed for the water to flow into them. And they're supposed to have outlets so the water doesn't flow into the cabin where the air is supposed to flow, but the water flows off to the side in some magical way. And the problem with the rain, I guess, and I'm just making this up as I'm going, so I guess I talked myself out of watching the rain. It's got to be done with a hose, because with a hose I can start at the front and work my way back and start at the lower elevation, so the cockpit is lower than the front. So maybe we'll even start with the cockpit, which is where the phone is now. The phone is looking at the back of the cockpit area. And let run water here. Plus it'll be an opportunity to wash the floors, wash off some of the bird poo. Although there's not as much bird poo this year as there has been in other years. Maybe I shouldn't jinx it. Touch wood. The start at this end, and then from that I can see if I see water coming in, and then move to each side. So there's a sort of a hole for storing stuff on each side that isn't supposed to leak into the boat. It has its own little scupper, its own little hole that the water runs out of. And but it's possible that those holes are plugged up with dirt over time, so it's possible there. So, and then I work my way to the top of the highest part of the boat is the top of where the main doorway is, and into oh, you see a red-winged blackbird on the boat next door now. They're mean. They attack people if they're near their nests. So if I go up to the top part, run the water there, and I can see where that, if that's where it's coming. And then work my way to the front of the boat, to the anchor locker that we were talking about earlier, and see if that's where it's coming in. And the challenge, of course, is, if I find it, is to figure out what to, how it's getting there. The chain plates are internal. It's possible that there's caulking. There's two chain plates, an inner or outer shroud. Yeah, either one of them. And if the water was coming down there, the outer ones are right next to the hull, so they're right on the coaming. If the boat had a tow rail, they'd be where the tow rail is, but we don't have a tow rail. So yeah, if water was leaking there, that would not be visible anyway. It wouldn't do any damage if it's just like a dribble, and it would run on one side. On the port side is the battery compartment, so that's just rough fiberglass, and that is connected to the bilge. Very good suggestion, Harmsway. And on the starboard side, it's under there's a seat in the salon, so there's a big seat, but it all opens up, and that's where the water heater and the refrigerator compressor lives. But again, you wouldn't, being inside the boat, you wouldn't notice any trace of water, because it would run down against the raw fiberglass of the outer hull and right down to the bilge pump. And so those are good places to check, and they're on the low side, so that they're easy to check first without confusing where the water's coming from. The inner shrouds are higher up. They're on the cabin top. Yeah, flexing under load. The mast has been up without being taken down. When the boat was at National Yacht Club, we'd take the mast down every winter. But here the mast stays up, which is part of the reason that I'm here. So there's no movement from that point of view. There'd be no wind load on it in a rainstorm. But so it's possible that the caulking has deteriorated. It's possible a screw fell out, although then I'd start worrying about the mast coming down. The inner shroud chain plates are on the cabin top, and I think you would see if water was coming in there, because it would drip onto the roof liner, which is some padded material and something a composite wood material. Hard to get off. I've taken all that off looking for where wiring was. So it's a real pain to get off because it clips on and it's held on with hidden screws. If it's in the outer chain plates or the outer halyard, outer shroud, then that's easier to deal with. And the bolts, I think, are visible. There's a reinforced part of the hull there that looks like it's got like 3/4 plywood epoxied in, and the bolts that hold that on are are visible. So if there's a loose bolt, it'll be easy to see. But that's a great suggestion. I hadn't even thought of that. I thought it was more some place where the water was supposed to run, that a new hole opened up, either due to age or due to dirt of some kind getting in. Yeah, so I'll check those chain plates. And as I say, because they're at a low level, the cockpit is lower, but they're in a totally different place, so that if water is leaking in the cockpit and all the holes in the floor here where it's supposed to drain out towards the back, if that's draining into the front, it won't be confused with leaks of the chain plate. To people that are not boaters, the mast is held up by shrouds, by a wire that goes from the top to the bottom, and it connects to a piece of metal that is bolted into the side of the hull. And I guess once upon a time there was chains. Now it's just all stainless steel wire and turnbuckles. And but the piece of metal that's at the end that holds all this mess onto the boat is called a chain plate. And that could well be an issue. And you know, it's interesting. We're looking at the back of my neighbor's boat in the camera. His boat is older, maybe 20 years older, but he had a leak at his chain plate as well. Now his chain plate goes through the side decks and gets attached to a bulkhead inside somewhere. I didn't see where it ends up, but when you're looking at it from on the top of the boat, it's the side deck goes from around the side, and it's in the middle of the side deck. So his leak would be more noticeable, in that it would be in an area that that you'd see on a regular basis. If it's the outer chain plates here, then as I say, you wouldn't notice it because they're in an area that is that's not visible, and they're in an area where there's no upholstery or anything that's easily damaged by getting wet. So it's something to, it's a great idea. Appreciate that suggestion. No, you're talking about cockpit drains. So, interesting, yes. The boat I had before this had 2 cockpit drains. And to me, the drains look like, if you've ever seen what connects a sink, like a kitchen, not so much a kitchen sink, but a bathroom sink, to the plumbing of the house. It's a round brass pipe with threads and a rubber gasket and a chrome top piece. So it looked like that's where this the previous boat manufacturer got their cockpit drains, and they were in the middle of the cockpit. It had a closed transom. This boat has an open transom, first of all. It had a closed transom, but then so they were connected to the corrugated plastic hose, but the length of the drain onto which the hose could be clamped was very short. It was about an inch, 3 centimeters, and there was only one clamp, and that would, in the winter, that would fall off. The freeze and thaw of the winter would get that to fall off. So that boat always had water in the bilge after the winter. And other people that had that boat, I'd have water covering the floorboard. So after I learned that, then I would take everything off the floor. And but other people would actually drill a hole through the boat, through the hull, above the keel, and put a faucet, a tap, um, into the outside. And in the winter, they would open. I guess it wasn't really a tap. It was really a valve. It was really just a threaded plug. So they would take the plug out in the winter, and then the water would get in, but it would run out and not cause any damage. So on this one, the cockpit drains are surprisingly weird. So it's an open transom, so there are no drains. The water just runs out the back. But it has a double layer of deck at one point, because the cables for the steering run through there, and the cables for the engine controls run through there. So there's a bunch of double layers of fiberglass, and it is all open, and the water is supposed to run out. But if you wash it and fill the cockpit with water from a hose, it runs out, not the open part of the transom at the back. The transom is the back of the boat for the non-boat people. But it runs out through a bunch of other holes that, and the first time I saw that, I was saying, this has got to be the weirdest construction that I've ever seen. But I guess it makes sense, because it's very elegant. There's no hoses, there's no drain itself. It's just the fiberglass has an indentation with a hole that leads into another sort of a pan. Now that is over a quarter berth that I haven't. We've taken the cushions out of the quarter berth because nobody sleeps back there, so it's really just full of tools and parts. But I didn't see any evidence of water there at all. So it's not. It's not likely to be that. That doesn't mean that it isn't. It doesn't mean that there's somewhere there isn't a cross connection somewhere that has opened up. And one of the things that I noticed is that the guy that had previously owned this boat had done some engineering. He was an engineer. Done some engineering, so he's cut some holes in things. Like he cut holes in a bulkhead to let cables run from a solar cell installation into the battery area on one side. Now on the other side, that's on the port side. But that doesn't look like it could be the cause of a water leakage, but that doesn't mean it isn't. On the other side, it looks like he opened up a solid piece of fiberglass that leads to, I'm not sure what. But it looks like the opening was made not at the factory. Now, it's possible that that's where the cause of all of my problems is happening as well. That's harder to get at. So it's going to take maybe use the phone, hold it underneath, take pictures of stuff, look at the video. I've got an inspection camera. That might be the right solution for that. So there's somewhere to look in there. The chain plates is potentially the first place to look. I guess I'm just looking at, inside here looking for something else now. There is an inspection port for the inner chain plates. So it'll be easy to see what's going on there. Now that inspection port is above an upholstered seat, and it runs through an area of teak inside wall glued against the outer hull. So I think if I had water coming there, I would see water damage. by now. Not 100% sure. But that's easy to get at. There's only 2 screws. There's an inspection port on the left and the right side. Port and starboard side. So it'll be easy to investigate. So I think I'm going to turn that camera around. The sun is getting pretty low. And we might have an interesting view off to the side. Still waiting for those swans to come and say hi. Darn those swans. Just when you're looking for them, they don't come. When you're not looking for them, they're everywhere. Well, they're not everywhere, but they're there. Let's see what else we've got to look at here. Another thought just comes up based on what Harmsway was talking about, is that last winter I noticed, so the front of the boat has a V-berth. It's a V-berth is a V-shaped sleeping area with cushions and stuff like that. And I noticed this year in the winter, when I put the boat away, it appeared that there was some dampness on one side. Now, I've noticed nothing this year, but there was a cushion there that had gotten some mildew on it. And that area would be where we're getting water from the anchor locker. So it's possible that there's a leak in that area as well. So that needs investigating, because I never figured out what was causing that mildew, and didn't come back. But again, if it's there, if there's a leak once, the leak isn't going to go away by itself. Eka Rizlasko, welcome aboard. We're just talking about water. Yeah, the mast is deck stepped, and the step is above. There's a steel pole that then runs down to the keel to hold it all up. You would notice water there, I think. Not 100% sure, but you'd notice water there as well. So running the hose on that part will tell me if that's there. But I like your idea of the chain plates as a first place to look, and that really makes sense to start there, because it makes so much sense now. Why now? What's prompted it? This problem could have been there for years, because the bilge pump would have pumped it out on a regular basis. Now in the winter, as I say, there should have been water, and there hasn't been. Pretty sure I had no water when after the winter thaw, like in January, February. I guess February, when things thawed out here. And I had disconnected the bilge pump, because if it's going to freeze, I didn't want the motor to run and break the impeller. So we had disconnected that. Yeah, because if water got in and the switch turned on the pump, but the pump was frozen solid, it would destroy itself. So that was just an ongoing check of things that could go wrong. So what's happened to the sun? So the sun is below the horizon. Let's turn the camera around and see if we want to look at me for a while. And I've got the computer out here to monitor the chat, so we're having fun. So what else should I consider? What else should I consider? The I haven't done a lot of sailing, but did go out last week. It was a very foggy day. Now, it was the Weather Channel, the Weather Network on the internet said that we had wildfire smoke, haze from the wildfires that are in northern Canada. But the wind on that day was from the south, so it wouldn't be blowing smoke from the north. Doesn't mean that the higher up elevations the wind wasn't in another direction. But the wind here, the prevailing wind is from the west, so it wouldn't really blow a lot of smoke from the northern Ontario fires. And it was hazy, but it smelled like fog. Fog has sort of a cold smell that is... I've been in real fog often enough to know what fog smells like. And ended up with a very nice sail. I was a little bit worried about the engine hadn't been run a lot, and I was a bit worried that things got to start, and I had the battery problem in the fall where the one battery ran dry. But it seemed happy after it was filled with distilled water again, and no engine problems at all, no rigging problems at all. The main is sometimes very hard to hoist on here. It's got a very round roach, so there's some weird stuff happening with the tension on things. The battens are half battens, so they tangle up on stuff, but no problems with that. And ended up with a very nice sail out to the pier at Toronto Centre Island. So it was probably an hour each way. So it was a short sail, but nice nevertheless. And the reported wind was 7 knots, and the fastest speed we got based on GPS speed, not based on speed through the water, but GPS speed, was 3.8 knots. So that's not bad now. So 3.8 knots is 4 miles an hour, which is fast walking, right? Can you walk 4 miles an hour? Probably not. So it's fast walking or slow jogging. So we're not talking about any kind of speed record in terms of all things that go fast, but still a good day from a sailing point of view, and everything worked. So that was good. Now I got a bit of a scare because I'm looking at the gas gauge to make sure that we had fuel, and the gauge has an E on one end and an F on the other end. But the only difference between an E and an F is that an F doesn't have a line at the bottom, right? And I'm looking at this thing, and there's a bit of dirt on the cover of the fuel gauge, and I'm looking at this thing, and suddenly in my mind it said it's on E, but it was only later when I looked at it more closely, I got myself directly right in front of it, that I realized I was looking, it actually said F, and a bit of dirt was hiding the part of the F that wasn't there, so it wasn't a dirty E, it was a real F. So it ended up being a really good sail, but because it was foggy, it seemed, I started recording a little bit of video, but it seemed like even the front of the boat was fuzzy from the fog, so never actually did anything with it. And I kind of regret that now. It would have been nice to have an hour of the first sail of the year. Oh, pardon me. Another yawn, and now you're seeing the yawns. And you know what? It's getting cold. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be. It says 21 degrees, which is 40, 70 Fahrenheit. It feels colder than that. And I keep telling myself I'm going to bring a thermometer, and I keep not bringing a thermometer. But I'll add that to my kit for tomorrow's attempt to at Cheeseburger in Paradise to throw in a spare thermometer, just to know. I mean, it doesn't make any difference, right? You can't change it. If it's cold, you put on a jacket. Do I have a jacket? I'm not even sure I have a jacket on the boat. Yes, there is a jacket on the boat. So I'll end up putting that on if I end up sitting out here much longer after the sun is down. 8:21. Yeah, so we've been live for 2 hours. So let's keep going till it gets dark out here, and then decide if we want to go inside. Hey, Soul Stitches, Dorothy, thank you for coming aboard. And Charlene, suddenly I've got company. I was just saying to myself, if we end up with no company around the 9 o'clock mark, that I'll pull the plug and just relax for a while, and then suddenly people show up. So I love that. Love it. Love to see you. Welcome aboard. And Charlene and Dorothy, beautiful channels. Definitely check them out. I think, Dorothy, you and I were talking about my friend with the stroke last time we had this, and I mentioned what you had said, and he seemed appreciative that people thought of him. So he's out of that rehab hospital on the 1st of August, which is 9 days. Today's the 22nd, 8 days. And then he'll still have to do a bunch of rehab. He was talking well today. We shook hands, and it seemed that a little bit his hand didn't really know where my hand was. And he was standing up. He didn't walk, so I don't know if he can walk. But we'll see what he's like. I promised him. I had mentioned previously that we'd worked together for 40 years on various video projects, and I'll mention it again. I added a link to to my bio to a thing called Canada Art Channel, which is mainly video that he was the director on. So his clients were art galleries and artists and authors and singers and songwriters. And he invited me to record promo and news items for them. So that channel goes back to 16 years, but I believe that our first production was in 1991. But it was, I think some of that material was put on Vimeo, and some of it was put on the individual art galleries' own websites at the time. And I'm going to track down some of those original productions and link them to the Canada Art Channel. I don't know how long it'll take him to heal. He's the only person I know that has gone through a stroke. His stroke seems to have been caused. He fell down a mountain in Iceland. A little bit more dramatic than it sounds more dramatic than it was. But he fell down. They're on a glacier tour, and he slipped and fell, and don't know how far down he fell, and broke a bunch of ribs. And I was reading somewhere that we've got an airplane overhead, that pressure on the heart can have longer term side effects, and this is probably one of them. So how long healing is, I don't know. I didn't ask because it doesn't make any difference. To some extent, I thought talking about the negative futures might be depressing. I mean, he's sitting there. He had company. He was after me. There was somebody else came by. And he's working on a few projects that continue this work with authors and artists and dancers and event planners. But so he's getting better. I mean, as I say, I don't know people personally that have had strokes in any way that I can draw any kind of comparisons. And so we'll see. I promised him I'd take him down to this place we call the market. It's the St. Lawrence Market. It is actually a farmer's market. But it has a bunch of sort of food courty kinds of things. And there he introduced me to this place that makes pea meal bacon, back bacon sandwiches. And huge, but they're $9 versus $15 at the next place. And so I said, once they release him, we'll drive down and have a pea meal bacon sandwich. Now the downside is that they have created a big pedestrian mall next to this market that used to have parking that was right next to the door. So now the challenge becomes, if you can't walk, how does one get into the place? I mean, I can drop him off and he can use his walker. He's got one of those walker things to get in there. That's easy enough. But when people build pedestrian-friendly environments, they become handicap-unfriendly environments because you can't get motorized access to there. Now, if it's a long-term thing, then you end up with mobility scooters and things like that. But if it's a short-term thing, then you rely on either driving yourself, if you can drive, or relying on friends driving you to drop you off there. So we'll figure out how that's going to work. That'll be a couple of weeks from now. And yeah, we'll get him his pea meal bacon. So otherwise, they look good. Good enough to give me all kinds of helpful pointers, helpful criticisms of cooking videos. And he's the guy that thinks that we should turn this into a cookbook. His daughter-in-law is a recipe planner for one of these food delivery companies that you subscribe and you get a box of food every week and recipes for what to make with it. So she does. She builds these recipes and does the test kitchen kind of thing. So that's her thing. And I think she did. She ran a chef's school for a while as well. So knowledgeable in this industry. And I think, for all I know, he's getting advice from her to tell me. Ooh, I'm getting cold. I'm getting cold. I'm going to go look for that jacket. The question is, where did I leave it? Where did it go? Let's see. It's not a big boat. Can't have gone too far. So I'm just looking at this the mast step. And there's the area around the top of the pole that holds up the mast step looks pretty open. So I think I would have seen any evidence of rain there. Now, it wasn't down while it was raining, as I said. So it's possible that all this stuff happened when nobody was watching. That's not a jacket. It's a bag of bags. That's a piece of a sail. Where do you think a jacket would be hiding if a jacket was hiding? There's a shirt. This jacket is a bit small, but I guess it will have to do because I don't know where the other jacket wandered off to. Huh. Okay, this jacket will have to do. Maybe I took it home. The more places you have to keep stuff, the more places you can lose stuff. This one's a little bit on the small side. Wow, the delay. Okay, why is there so much lag in the video between what I see in the camera? Like, I just came back out. Okay, so here I don't see myself. Oh, because I hadn't clicked on the little live icon there. I don't know what that means. So I'm watching video that's old. Now we're back out. So now there isn't a lag. That's kind of weird. I never noticed that. Okay, so the other jacket isn't there. I was expecting a jean jacket. This is one I picked up in Fort Lauderdale on the beach there. And it basically says Fort Lauderdale. And I like it because it's got that nautical look. It not super warm, but it's a beach jacket or beach shirt. So we'll see if it keeps us warm for a while. Yeah, I see the temperature on the weather network is saying 21 degrees, but it said that when it was still feeling a lot warmer than it is right now. And it's interesting. Last week we had the hotter temperatures, the 35s, which is with 90, 98 Fahrenheit. And there was all kinds of concern and hand-wringing about heat waves and climate change, and we're all doomed. And here, a week later, we're back to September weather for this area. And we're not hearing anything about how we're all doomed because the heat is going to get us. Pardon me. So it's I'm a climate skeptic, I guess, is what I would say. It's a thing though, and I'm sure they are listening. Okay, Dorothy, we'll see you again. We'll see you again. Thank you for coming aboard. Really appreciate it. All right, let's just see how long we've been actually doing this. Go over to the analytics. Wait for the computer to wake up. Computer slow. I guess we're competing for internet with potentially 300 other boats. And I'm going to try something on this phone. Click on this. What does that do? No, it doesn't do anything that I want to do. Doesn't do anything that I want to do. I still don't know how some of this stuff works. What does the computer have to say for itself? Yeah, oh, here comes a duck. So no, the duck won't come into view. It's a little bit too far away. Hey, duck. How about jumping up and he's got something dragging out of his mouth? Piece of seaweed. I guess they eat the seaweed, and and then whatever wildlife grows around the seaweed as well. So they have we don't have floating seaweed here, but some of it comes up to within about a foot of the surface, and you can see stuff, and the algae grows around there, and some of the smaller bugs, and once in a while we see little fish, little white minnowy dace kind of fish here that are drifting around around where the seaweed is, and yeah, so they come by. I can hear the waves on the rocks on the other side of the Leslie Spit Park, which is a couple hundred feet, maybe 300 feet from here. And because the wind is a little bit from the east, very much from the east, the way it'll build up waves onto that shore, because that's a shore that faces east, and it's got the whole lake the whole Lake Ontario to build up the waves. Now, because the wind's from the east, that also suggests that we're going to get rain tomorrow, and I haven't seen that in the weather. Let me just see. So this is Windows 10 or 11 or whatever, and it keeps wanting to give you all kinds of crap. Do I care what Prince Harry's doing? Do I care what the media blackout order by Trump's Gulf of Mexico? Renaming, blah, 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 blah. I was looking for the weather. Okay. I don't see any weather, so let's just get rid of that. Oh, go away. Why am I seeing crap on MSN? Oh, because it went from one thing to another. We're back to me. I want to see me. And yeah, if we're going to have wind from the east, and it's pretty well due east, I'm anticipating that it's going to rain tomorrow. So maybe I will have the opportunity to see where the actual real rain is coming in. I guess it'll be a little bit harder to do my cheeseburgers in paradise in the rain because the barbecue's outside. So that's going to affect whether I do that tomorrow or not. As I say, I can't check while we're live. I suppose I could go to my good friend Google and get the Weather Network. Let's do that while we're here. Take advantage of having a computer. Weather Network Toronto. Let's see. What does it think? The current weather. So it thinks it's 21 degrees. I guess so. Whatever is coming up with this weather here. Do I care about cookies? No. What I want to know is full 72 hours. So let's see what's happening in the next 3 days. According to this, go away. How do I tell what day this is? Much easier to figure out on, okay, Wednesday. It says percentage precipitation only 10, so it doesn't look like it's going to rain. 1 a.m., 6 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., no rain at all tomorrow. So I don't know why they think the wind from the east. Why is it saying the wind is from the east? Now it's claiming northeast. Okay, now it's claiming it's actually east-east. So wind is moving to the south tomorrow. Okay, so if that's going to be nice enough for cheeseburgers in paradise, I guess maybe we should make a bookmark and that's not worth the effort. It's raining there, Harm's Way. Where did you say you were? West Coast? Washington? Can't remember. Yeah, I was a bit worried about rain tomorrow if I'm going to do my cheeseburger episode. But it says no rain, so I'm quite happy with no rain. Rain, go away. But I don't know why the wind is coming from the east if we're not going to have that rainy weather. We didn't have rain yesterday. It's not like leftover easterly winds here. So Hans, I was saying, where are you located? Did you say Washington at one point? Maybe I can't remember. I can't remember. But I'm trying to understand why we have an easterly wind and no sign of rain in the forecast. So it could be the forecast is wrong. That's happened before. Or it could be that it's a wind anomaly. Now, so it's not a shore breeze, because the shore breeze is when the wind is blowing from the shore onto the water, because the shore has warmed up and the water is still cold. That's the wrong angle for where we are. If it was a shore breeze, it'd be from the north here. And it wasn't super hot. Minnesota. Okay, yeah, now I remember. I'm going to forget it again, but now I remember. Yeah, so you're Midwest. So you don't have any of the ocean effects of weather from where that would be. Yeah, but I'll be happy if we don't have rain tomorrow. It will allow me to do this. So we'll come out, we'll get the barbecue going. Do I do even 4 patties of hamburger? I have 4. I was, pardon me, debating what to make the 4th flavor, but I don't think the grill is really big enough to do 4 meat patties and 4 buns. So that might be a bit challenging to do. The and when I was going to do it today, I had a time constraint because I wanted to go live around 6. But if I'm doing it tomorrow, I've got something I have to do at home at noon, so that's noon till 2. But then there's no time constraint, and that way I can do each flavor separately. Because it is harder to keep track of multiple things in a video at the same time, so that if I'm working on the mango flavor and then I've got to worry about flipping the other burger for the other thing, it throws the flow off a little bit and throws off my understanding of what what I'm trying to accomplish, and then you forget things. So having more time will be nicer. Now the other issue with doing 4 burgers is who's going to eat the 4 burgers, and we'll see who's around on the dock, and maybe we'll do a burger giveaway. Yeah, we're still getting a bit of light. It's getting dark, so it's 8:47, a quarter to 9. I think we'll pull the plug at 9. That sun has basically gone behind those trees that you see up right there. Like that's where the sunset is, but it's not exciting at all because it gets hidden by the trees, and then there's a building a little bit lower down that blocks everything. So there's no no beautiful looking sky. There's no beautiful ball of orange in the sky. It's just the sun disappearing behind a bunch of trees. If I look the other angle now, I see the orange on some of the clouds, but they don't turn out in the in the evening light at all. So it's also very interesting. I see myself in the phone camera's view, much better lit in terms of the light shining on me than I see myself on the computer. Okay, it's partly because the screen was over too far, so the angle was wrong. Oh, we're only an hour difference. I thought you were further. I thought you were 2 time zones. I know in Canada, Calgary is 2 hours, and Vancouver is 3 hours. So that's sort of the way the time zones register in my head. So I thought you were further over. Okay, that's interesting. It's you learn a little bit of geography, even when you're not expecting to learn geography. It's always learning, always ready to listen to other people's thoughts. And as I say, looking at the chain plates was the best thought I'd heard today. So I appreciate that. Because I hadn't anticipated that at all. I'd have to see how the caulking works there, because it's against the outside of the hull. There's no holes in the fiberglass except where the bolts go through there, and I think there's 3 bolts that hold the chain plates onto the hull. So we've talked enough about that. So that's going to be my my thing that when I get water. Maybe do some of that water running along there tomorrow anyway. Cook a bit, look at the video, decide if I like it or not. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do one burger, decide if I like the angles. Because if you're doing more than one, you can change the angles. May not be able to redo that because I'm only bringing down one mango. And if I've used up the whole mango, then there's nothing left to just looking at somebody and their dog. But if I do the first one as a test, then I can use the others as more of the real ones. And if the first one turns out good, then I've got 4 cheeseburgers in paradise. If each one is 3 minutes, then that's a very nice long video, 12 minutes video. And then I probably should take one bite out of each one as part of the presentation. Hey, Healthy Kitchen Wizard, thank you for coming aboard. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're doing great. I was just saying it's getting chilly here. 2 weeks ago we had heat dome warnings and we're all going to die from the heat. And now I just put on a jacket. And it says it's what did I say it said? It says it's 20 degrees Celsius, so that's 70 Fahrenheit. But I feel a bit of moisture in the air too. Not actually fog, but I feel a bit of moisture in the air. So fog could be forming over the water where the air is warmer and the water is cold now, because the lake is still pretty cold. I'm sure it's not more than 50 degrees. Still hypothermia weather. So no, we're doing good. Just had to put on a jacket. And I was just talking about, I had planned to today record a Cheeseburger in Paradise episode, which would be hot in Florida, but it's always hot in Florida. I mean, it's Florida and then it's the equator, so it's to me, I don't know how people cope, but you've been doing it forever. I don't know, is it hotter than it used to be? I know here we were, let's just say, there was all kinds of concern about the heat and people dying and checking on your old neighbors. And now we're putting on jackets. So it was a temporary thing. Hey, Sunrise Sunset, thank you for coming by my live. Let's give you a wrench. Network. Oh, hold on. Healthy Kitchen, sorry, I took away your wrench. Let's see who I'm doing here. The mouse is moving faster than the hand can see. Let's give, no, that's not the one. Sunrise Sunset. Okay, so everybody has got a wrench now. Healthy Kitchen. Oh, now Healthy Kitchen has the wrench back. I think everybody's got a wrench now. Yeah, Cheeseburger in Paradise. So I want to be careful not to open up a copyright wormhole. I love Jimmy Buffett's concept, all his music. Seen him several times. I keep telling people, once took a boat to visit his concert, even though it was only a 10-minute boat ride on somebody's sailboat, because they were playing in an area next to National Yacht Club, and went over there with somebody's boat. Oh, you're Lakeview. Okay, I know where Lakeview is. Are you in the marina and then in the yacht club there? I went down to that park and took some video of that last year because I wanted to do something about places to keep a boat in Toronto, and then I sort of put that on the back burner. The Yeah, we're in the east end of the city, and I have an issue with a bimini here that I have to take to Genco over by. I guess they're not over by. They're not as far as Port Credit Marina, but in my head, I'm making this like a long trip, and I've been putting it off, putting it off. It's been in the back of the car for a couple of weeks, but yeah, I'll drop in and get them to do a repair to a zipper. So yeah, so the cheeseburgers in paradise. It was based on something that was said in a chat a couple of weeks ago by Arizona Jake. He said he was going to go off and have a cheeseburger. He does workout videos. A fine figure of a man. And so we got talking about cheeseburgers, and I said, okay, well, maybe I'll do cheeseburgers. I bought a new barbecue for the boat, and we'll do cheeseburgers and do something unique. So they were going to be unique cheeseburgers, one with mango, one with avocado, one with a portobello mushroom. And I was going to do that today before the live, and I look in the box of stuff I bring down, and there's no meat. So how can you make a cheeseburger without meat? I had everything else, so now I'll bring it all back and do that tomorrow. But I want to try to find line between, do I mention Jimmy Buffett by name? Do I use the phrase cheeseburger in paradise, or do I say cheeseburger paradise, which is not the name of the song, so it's a sound alike. I'm not 100% sure how I want to go with that. I know my good friends at YouTube getting upset. Yeah, the avocado and the mushrooms were going to be on separate burgers. The avocado was going to be with red onion and mayo. The portobello was going to be with bacon. But I got to think of something else because that's not enough. It's not. It doesn't look fancy if all you're doing is sticking a piece of mushroom on top of a piece of meat. So you got to think of something a little bit more exotic there. I bought some green onions, so maybe green onions would work well. Yeah, so I'm just thinking there. And if I'm going to do 4 of them, because I have 4 patties, then I can do one at a time. I sort of wanted to have 2 patties on the grill at one time because that makes a pretty picture because it's nice and full. But that gives me the first one. It can almost be the test sacrifice. If it works well, then it's good. If it doesn't work well, then I'll have a bite of it, put it aside, and move on to the next one. And part of what I've just been thinking about is, what am I going to do with the with 3 burgers? I can't eat 3 full burgers. And during the day, there's not a lot of people here at the marina, so I'll just give them away, see if anybody wants one, see if my neighbors are here. I've just got to go check something inside the boat. Let me come back in a second. Just checking this bilge water system issue while we're here. It's don't want it to become an issue. Don't want it to become an issue. Let some water run here. See where it's going. Looks okay. Looks okay. I don't know where this is coming from. Okay, this is good. This is good. Be back out in just a second. I'll give myself a bottle of water to drink while I'm coming in here. Yeah, this looks okay. This looks okay. This looks okay. Let's see. This looks okay. What's happened while we had all that fun in there? Yeah, it's getting a little bit on the dark side. So let's see. Beef sliders. Yeah, I saw, well, it wasn't you, but I was looking for something. Maybe I was researching for other flavors that go with avocado. And I came across a picture of sliders on a tray. And I was trying to figure out whether they were created by AI. So we've had this AI discussion several times already. And they all looked so much the same size. Now, of course, if the sliders or the buns out of a package are all going to be the same size. And they all had the same ingredients. But then when I looked really closely, I saw that there was a piece of lettuce on the top of each one. And the piece of lettuce looked different on each of them. Whereas my guess is that if AI drew the image of a tray of sliders with beef and lettuce, that they would have, AI would have drawn them all to look almost exactly the same. Now, I'm not 100% sure that that's the case, but that was an interesting picture. And you get into that whole AI rabbit hole of what's AI and what's not AI, what's real, what I'm just covering the microphone. There's a boat with music going by. I'm trying to hide the music a little bit. I don't know if we can hear it. A dog barking and the other thing, birds everywhere. It's getting dark, so Healthy Kitchen, thank you for coming by. Sunrise Sunset, thank you for coming by. I think I'm going to pull the plug on our live. It's getting too dark for it to be fun. I think we've had some good conversations, some good feedback from the chat. I appreciate each and everyone coming by. And as I always learn something. Harm's Way gave me a couple good ideas about where to check for this this water issue that that we're getting into, and I'm going to say I hope I'll see you all again. I'm going to make every effort I can to come by your lives or check out your video. I do keep track of who comes to visit for that purpose. And we'll do this all again. As I say, I don't think I'm going to do tomorrow's cooking live, because it does get too much to keep track of the live component and what I'm doing and what's happening on the grill or on the stove. I've tried it and I just confuse myself. So we probably won't do. Thanks, Sunrise, for saying that. I do appreciate the audience. I guess I do it for the audience. I'm always looking for validation from other people. I'm sure that that's a character defect that's been around for a while. If I do decide to do the cooking live, then that would be great. It'll probably be around 2 o'clock, I think, at the rate that I'm going. And it may or may not work. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in your lives, look forward to seeing you in your videos, and look forward to having this conversation again a week from today. So let me find the button on here that just says X. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay. Going around